In this video, I'm going to go over the 3 rules of booking agency meetings, and we've collectively booked hundreds, most likely even thousands of meetings at this point for our own business and for our clients. So what I've done is distilled it into 3 major rules that if you can follow this, you'll be able to book meetings honestly pretty easily, sign clients pretty easily. So if it's the case that you're not booking enough meetings or you're not signing enough clients, then make sure you watch till the end, because literally by not having one of these rules in place, it could be the reason why your agency isn't growing as fast as you want it to grow. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Welby. I'm the founder of ETL Digital, and we partner with established marketing agencies to help them build out client acquisition machines and scale up incredibly fast. So the first rule that I always make sure to have in place is to remove all friction. And in physics, friction is just a force that opposes motion, but don't worry about that. The way you want to think about it is to just make it as easy as humanly possible for the prospect to get from the message to the actual call. So what I did when I was starting, and what I see a lot of people doing now, is, for example, at the end of the emails, they would ask like an open-ended question, right? They'll tell them about the offer and then they'll ask, so what do you think? But the reality is people are so busy, people's minds are so scattered that when they see something like that, it's literally too much effort for them to reply. So they see the message, they see that they're asked what they think, and then they start thinking, then they're like, I don't really know. Then it becomes too much effort, and then they just ignore you. They just ignore your email, right? That's literally what happens. And I'll tell you the solutions for all of this in a minute. But what you want to do is make it as easy as possible. So the second thing is too much back and forth emails. So again, what most people do is they have these long conversations between the prospects, sending emails, talking about random stuff that no one really cares about, as opposed to just telling them how it works and then offering times to book the call. So they have these long conversations over days and weeks, and then they wonder why prospects end up just ignoring them completely, because they just lost interest. So the lesson is to make it as easy as possible. So what I do in all of my emails and all of my campaigns, I make sure I only ask yes or no questions. So they don't have to think about the best reply possible. They only have to say yes or no. So for example, I'll offer more information. I'll offer some times. So I can say, would Tuesday at 5 p.m. work for you? They say yes. I invite them to the calendar event, I book them in, and it's super easy. All they had to do was say yes. And I also get straight to the point in the emails. I'm not having conversations about the kids' baseball game that I don't care about, right? I'm just asking, like, are you interested in this offer? I'll send some more info. They like it, they book the time, and we talk on the call, and then they become a client, right? We're not doing all this other stuff. So in all of your processes, make sure you're asking yourself, is this as easy as it can be to get a prospect from interested to the actual call? The second lesson and the second rule is to stay top of mind at all times. So again, another lesson that I learned when I was starting out and what I see now is that myself and other people that send one email and then they just wait. They'd be like, yep, the guy's gonna reply, looking forward to it, and they just chill and do nothing. Now the reality is that when people see the email, or when they see an email from you, they're going to forget about you within 20 seconds of that email being read. They have other things to do. They have rent that's due. They have kids that's shouting at them, all this other stuff. And they just forget about you completely. So we need to keep in mind that people are insanely busy. And when you don't get replies from prospects, it's not because they don't like you. It's not because they have this hidden agenda that they just hate. All people that send emails, they're just busy. So the solution to this is follow-ups and content. So follow-ups is pretty self-explanatory. You send an email, they don't reply the next day or in 48 hours, you just send another message. And you make it valuable too. You don't just say like, hey, bumping this up. Hey, read my last email. Like, no one wants to get that. So what you can do is talk about like, hey John, just reaching out because we helped another brand to increase their revenue by an extra 100,000 a month. We'll have to get on the call and discuss this with you. Does Friday at 5 p.m. work? Right, that's a nice follow-up, because it's adding more value and it's easy for them to respond. Just like rule number 1, remove all friction. So just keep following up with people until they literally say, no, I'm not interested, which rarely ever happens. The biggest problem I see is just people not following up enough, because the prospects have interest. They haven't told you no, they're just busy. Now the next way to stay top of mind is with content. And the best way to do this is if you're doing outreach on a social platform like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, then make sure you're posting every single day, especially case studies and value videos, because they'll be seeing it every single day. And every single time they see it, they'll think of you and they'll think of the message that they haven't replied to and that they should really get on the call, especially if you're giving value, because then they're thinking, okay, this guy's actually good at what he's saying. So if you're doing outreach on the social channels, definitely post every day. Another way to do this, if you're doing email, for example, is let's say you post YouTube videos. In a follow-up for one of the emails, what you can say is, hey John, was just thinking about you and your business. I recently made a video explaining how to solve this problem. So I'll send it through and we can talk later. Right, you're framing it as you're providing value to him, which you are if the video is good. But it also gets their attention back to you, which is really the goal. We want to stay top of mind. And in doing that, they think about you, they remember the message they haven't replied to, and then they're much more likely to actually book in a time and speak to you. And the third rule is to lead everything to a call. So the typical situation in an email conversation, in an outreach conversation, is you send the message, then they come with a question about pricing. How much does it cost? Sounds good, but how much does it cost? How does it work? Can you give me a proposal? So what people do, because they don't know the rules, is that they send, for example, the entire pricing sheet and an entire proposal explaining how it works. And then, believe it or not, there's no reason to get on a call because you sent everything there in the email. So now you have no ammunition to get them onto the actual call because they know everything already. So you want to answer the questions, but answer it only enough so that they're intrigued, but not enough so that they know everything. And that gives you a reason to actually get them onto the call. Because if you give everything, what's the point of getting onto a 30-minute call where you can explain how it works? So for example, a typical situation that I see is if someone asks, okay, this sounds good, but what's the price? You don't never give the price, okay? If you're sending the price now, just stop doing that completely. A typical response can be like, sure, that's a great question. So the pricing really varies depending on what your goals are and depending on how much new business your business can handle. So I'd be more than happy to get on a quick call just to evaluate your goals and see where you want to be, and then give you a pricing based on that. So see how you use their question to incentivize the actual call. Now there's a solid, tangible reason to actually get on the call because you're going to evaluate what their goals are, right? Then you're going to give them pricing based on that, and you can also explain how your service works. So the same occurs if they ask for more information, right? You give them a little bit of information, you talk about some of the outcomes. If they ask how it works, you say, yeah, so we're going to help you increase your revenue by this amount. We do this by building out a client acquisition machine. Now, I'd be more than happy to go into extreme detail on a quick call, just because it'd be much easier to go through it on a call as opposed to an email. And I'll also be able to give the pricing and answer any questions that you might have. Would Friday at 2 p.m. work for you? Right, so that's how you lead the actual question to the call, as opposed to giving them everything on the spot. So if you run an established marketing agency and you're open to adding an extra 50 to 100,000 per month within around 6 to 9 months, there'll be a link below. You can just check that. But otherwise, the 3 rules of booking meetings is to remove all friction, stay top of mind, and lead everything to a call. So if you're interested in more videos on how to book meetings, sign clients, and scale your agency, I will link my best 2 videos right here.